So we'll get started on the PowerPoint. So it's an introduction today for the course we're going to talk about plagiarism. So plagiarism is when you copy someone else's work and you don't give them credit. So you need to give them credit whenever you quote somebody or paraphrase. So if you read like a paragraph and then you write it in your own words, you still have to credit them. You have to provide credit. And then also any quotes you take, you got to provide credit. Any statistics you use, you got to provide credit. So that's very important. So to avoid plagiarism, paraphrase, you're putting the information in your own words, and then put an in-text citation at the end of the section to tell the reader where you learned this information. And then use quotes and use an in-text citation at the end for the quote. So here, this passage here, this yellow passage right here, you can read the passage and then, so this passage right here, you can read it, and then this person wrote a paraphrase for it here. And then they put an in-text citation right here to credit where it came from. So that's very important. So you put the author, comma, year. So that's very important in terms of crediting the author. So for this one, this is like a test on how to paraphrase. So can somebody try to paraphrase this? So read the text here in the box and then put it in your own words. Does somebody want to try doing that? Anyone can volunteer. And just make sure after you've done paraphrasing it, put this before you end the sentence. So try paraphrasing it and then put it in the chat when you're done. So here, this is so I summarized it here. I paraphrased it. So I paraphrased it through taking all the main ideas and wrote it in my own words. And then I put fountain, comma 2020, just to credit the author. So that's how you paraphrase. You take a passage of text, put it in your own words, and then credit the author. So I want to show everyone that. That's how, for any assignment that we do, you have to do that. So let's go into the economics material. So economics has positive and normative statements. So positive statement is anything that's like a fact. So anything that's used for statistics. So for example, it would be if inflation inflation will reduce by 1% for every 1% increase in the interest rate. That would be a positive statement. Well, normative statement is more like an opinion, or it's like kind of like an opinion statement. So, for example, interest rates are a high interest rate is bad for an economy. So that's the difference. So that's a normative statement right there. Yeah. So the economists like to use models that track behavior. So, and ceteris paribus means that ceteris paribus means that only two variables change and all else stays the same. So for example, interest rates and inflation rates are researched in simulations, holding everything else the same. So higher interest rate reduces inflation, all else constant. So ceteris paribus. So that's what ceteris paribus is. So anything relating to like research, like anything relating to researching two variables, we use ceteris paribus. So that's very important. And these are some of the graphs that we'll go through. Don't worry too much about them right now. We'll go through them one by one in more detail. So these are some of the graphs we'll see during the course, but we'll get there. So building up to models, can you think in graphs? So these are some of the graphs we'll go through more. So economic assumptions, ceteris paribus. So people are rational. We think things through and behave logically. So people are self-interested and will attempt to maximize their own benefit, be that personal happiness or company maximizing profit, etc. Thus, people respond to incentives and rationally in mostly predictable ways. Those are assumptions that we have in economics. So what is economics? So we'll watch this video on what economics is.
CIMT College has the shortest paralegal program in the province.
Well, I'm just gonna, yeah. So we'll learn more about that as the course goes on. So don't worry too much about it yet. So we're gonna learn more about this as time goes on. So economic assumption ceteris paribus. 1 second. So people are rational. Okay, so scarcity. So scarcity is one of the biggest things in economics, where we have limited resources and time. So we got to choose to use these limited resources and time on some of our unlimited wants. So we got to choose what we use the resources and time on. So like we have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, and we have to choose what to use it on. It's food, clothing, shelter, security, comfort, medicine, jewelry, affection, transportation, good health, shelter, and variety and diet, knowledge, convenience, recognition, travel, wisdom, recreation, control, etc. So we need to choose what resources and time we use on the wants that we have. Scarcity, we have unlimited needs / wants, but limited resources. So we want to ensure that we're efficient and effective. So we want to use the bare minimum to achieve the end goal. And also we want to be effective in terms of achieving the end goal successfully. So there's this activity here, the healthcare activity. So there's a dialysis machine. These machines are used for patients who have kidneys that don't work properly. Without dialysis, the patients will quickly die. They're expensive, costing about $100,000. Some patients can get a kidney transplant, which means they won't need dialysis any longer. So you're given a dialysis machine that can run for 30 hours a week, and you're going to have to decide who gets the treatment. So there's patient A through K, and I'll provide this in the chat so you can do it after. Let me know.
Prof, Prof, we can't hear you.
I believe he's reconnecting.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Thanks for letting me know. So here, can people hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Prof, we can hear you now.
Oh, thanks,
It was
everyone.
cutting in between just now.
Okay. So I pasted this in the chat. So this will take a lot of work to reason through it, because this type of problem that hospitals have, they may only have like a few dialysis machines, and they need to choose which patients will use it. And like, it's a really difficult situation. These are economic problems that people face all the time, where they have to choose, which is it's not easy. So if it's optional, you can work on it and tell me which people should get the treatment, but it's a very difficult choice. So yeah, it's totally optional, but if you want to work on that after class, go ahead and let me know what your results are. So due to scarcity, we must make choices. So you got to choose who would get the care, and it's a very difficult decision. So by choosing one course of action, you sacrifice another. So like if one person gets dialysis treatment, another person might not get dialysis treatment. So dialysis is very important in terms of, you need it if your kidneys aren't working, you need dialysis to filter your blood. So it's a life or death thing. So one person might live because they get dialysis while another person can't get it, so they die. So it's a real large opportunity cost. So it's a very difficult problem. And to move on, so diamond water paradox. This is something where so diamonds are very, but they are not needed for survival. Water is not very expensive, but it is based on value and exchange. Diamonds are very valuable, but value in use, water has a higher value in use than diamonds. Okay, I'll try. I think I'll take off the headphones. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
Okay, I think it might be the headphones. These might not be working. So I'll just do it like this. It might be the headphones, I believe. So I'll just take off the headphones. Thanks for letting me know, everyone. So in this case, value in exchange is greater than value in use. Based on the higher price of diamonds compared to the higher price, compared to the price of water. Yeah, so that's just what happens here. And then the opportunity cost is what is lost from choosing one greater instead of another. And what you sacrifice when making a decision, the next best alternative when making a choice. Can you make some examples? Can you think of some examples of opportunity costs? So I'll show you one example, like, so you could, being a student, the opportunity cost of being a student is the lost wages from working. So you could be working right now, and the lost wages from not working is the opportunity cost of going to school. So like, let's say you are doing a 2-year program full time and you don't have time for working, let's say. The opportunity cost of this is, let's say, $80,000 from not working full time, assuming 40,000 per year. Yeah. So that's the opportunity cost of going to school. Let's say in this example it is. So let me know if you think of any other examples of opportunity costs that you face. Let me know as we go. Like if it's opportunity cost of buying a car, etc., that kind of thing, or anything like that. So because of scarcity, there's always a trade-off, always a cost. Nothing is free. No such thing as a free lunch. Someone is always paying. There's always an opportunity cost. You cannot have everything. You have to make some very tough decisions. Societies, groups, government, business, individual people, everyone has to make these decisions. Growth versus environment, future versus present. We'll talk more about this. This is more an introduction today. So we'll go through the opportunity cost worksheet here. So Nick has 500 RMB saved and is trying to decide what to do with it. He has come with the following list: put in a savings account, buy a ticket to the Beijing Olympic Games ice hockey tournament, take his girlfriend out for a very nice dinner, buy an economics text. True or false? If Nick spends the money on the ice hockey tickets, he is sacrificing going on a date, building up his savings, and getting a good mark in economics. Is that true or false? Does Buyback want to try?
I think it's true.
Yes, so it's true
Yeah.
if the money is 100% spent on ice hockey tickets. That's true. That's true. It would be false if the money is partially spent on ice hockey tickets. So it depends. Like, I think based on the question, he spends all his money. So based on the wording here, it sounds like he spends all the money. So you're correct. So based on the wording, it seems like he spends all his money on it. So great job. Buyback on that. And then what's the opportunity cost of studying for 3 years in university? Does Berkeley want to try?
Sure. Well, if we say like we did before for 40,000 for a year, it
Yeah.
would be probably 120,000.
Exactly, 120,000. So like, yeah, great work, Berkeley. That's true. That's exactly true. And it would be more if you're making more than that. This is just the in Canada, that's the average individual income, around 40,000 for an average individual income. But if it's, let's say you're making, yeah, like it only goes up from there. If you have a higher paying job, it would be a lot more. So that's a big opportunity cost for going 3 years in university. But the benefit of being in university is that you're going to likely make more than that 40,000, right? So maybe you'll make 80,000 after you're done university, right? So it was really beneficial to go to university because you'd be making double your income that if you didn't go to university. So that's why we go to university, so we can get better jobs and get better income, and college also. So college/university. So going to college/university, we get better incomes, and that's why we go, because I know there's no opportunity cost of, let's say, 120,000, but at least we get a lot more income out of it, and then eventually it'll pay for itself eventually. So we benefit a lot from it. So Jillian,
So, Professor, we can call this as a return of investment.
yes, exactly. So that's exactly that's a good point. Yeah, it's a big return on investment. The like going to university is a huge return, university or college. So Seneca College, going to Seneca College is a huge return on investment. Going to college or university in terms of higher incomes. Yeah. So Jillian decides she needs a motorcycle to go to school every day. She withdraws RMB 5,000 from her savings account that she's planning on spending to take a vacation during the summer. True or false, the opportunity cost of buying the motorcycle is RMB 5,000. I'll ask Hamza, do you want to try?
Yeah, sure. I think it is true because I mean she was planning to spend it on summer, and that's the entire concept, choosing the next best alternative. So yeah, it is true. She's buying the motorcycle instead. So I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, true. True, because she could spend the RMB 5,000 on a vacation.
On a vacation, yes.
Yeah. So good job. Good job, Hamza. That's great.
Thank
So-
you.
So that's the opportunity cost of buying the motorcycle. Great work, Hamza. So that's great. And then
Thank you, Professor.
opportunity cost, define opportunity cost. Is Chica want to try this one? And I'll let
Hello,
you,
can you hear me?
oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so opportunity cost is more or less like the value of what you lose
Yes.
when choosing something else
Yes.
when given various options, I guess.
Yeah, great job. That's great. That's exactly it. So production possibilities is imagine a world goods exist. For example, computers and basketballs. We're always using all of our resources in this economy. So we're using all our resources to produce either computers or basketballs or a combination of the two. So we're going to devote all our resources to the production of two goods. So in this case, how many of good A and good Y, good B are we producing at point X, everyone? So can I ask Ray this one? Oh, it's okay. So point X here. So point X here. Good A. There's 2 produced. And good B, there's 8 produced. And we see that by this and this. That's how we would do that. And then if we decide to produce at point Y instead, how many of good A and good B are we producing, and what is, and yeah, so how many of good A and good B are we producing? Does F a minute want to try? Yeah, 4 and 4, that's great. Great job, Chico. Fair enough. Thank you, that was great. That's true, yeah, so point Y. Good A. Or good B, 4, good job. And then the opportunity cost is, what is lost? Like, the opportunity cost here would be, the opportunity cost of good A would be, it would be, in this case, the opportunity cost of good A is 2 of it. So how we got that, 8 minus 4, 4. And we take the difference. 4 minus 2. B good A 4 divided by 2 equals 2. The opportunity cost of good A is 2. So it's hard to get that. And we'll go through this more as the course goes on. So we'll go deeper into this. So the opportunity cost of increasing A from 0 to 1 is how many units of good B? Does okay, yeah, it might be a network issue too. Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yes.
sorry, yeah, I've been having network issues all day for whatever reason. Yeah, 2, you got it, yeah. 2 of good B, yeah. Thanks for letting me know. 2 of good B, yeah, that's true. And then what's the cost of increasing production from good A from 5 to 6 units?
It would reduce from to 0 production, and it would reduce by 2.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So the cost of increasing production of good A from 5 to 6 units would be good B decreasing
By 2
from
units.
2 to 0 units. Yeah. Great job. And then this is constant opportunity cost. It's not always like this. Usually it's like this. Usually opportunity cost is graphed like this, and there's a few reasons why. A linear PPC is suggests that the trade-off of resources between the two goods is equal, but usually it's not. Like they're produced differently. Like basketballs and computers are produced differently. Like if you reduce the production of basketballs to produce more computers, they don't use the same machines, so you'd have to buy more machines to produce computers. So there would be so this is a good scenario here. So let's maybe make basketballs go on the y-axis and then computers. So for sure you would produce more basketballs than computers because basketballs aren't hard to make compared to computers. So if you reduce basketballs from 12 to 10, you can make 1 computer in this case. And that kind of makes sense because computers take a lot more work to make. And then if you reduce basketballs from 10 to 6, you can make 2 computers. And then when you reduce basketballs from 6 to 0, you make 3 computers. So this makes sense because you'd have to buy new machines and buy new resources to produce more computers. So linear PPCs are best used when the 2 goods are very similar. For example, basketballs and volleyballs. So this would be used for like basketballs and computers, right? And then this one here would be best if it's like basketballs and volleyballs. So like basketballs, volleyballs. That's why we have, this is why. So linear possibilities curves are for similar goods, e.g. basketballs and volleyballs, while the concave possibilities curves are for different goods, e.g. basketballs and computers. This is the law of increasing opportunity cost. So yeah, it just increases over time. So for basketballs and computers there. Then law of increasing relative cost / diminishing returns. Whenever society, in order to get greater amounts of one product, sacrifices an ever increasing amount of other products. So diminishing returns in general. As you produce more pizzas in this case, until a maximum, you're making more revenue. And then when you produce too much, there's just not enough demand for it. Like there's not enough consumers. So like there are not enough customers to buy too much of one product. Revenue starts to fall after a certain point. That's what happens after you produce too much. So why do economists believe it's increasing and not constant? All resources are not created equally. They are not equally able to produce both types of goods. People have differing abilities. So they take a lot of time to train, and then they have to work, they have to motivate themselves to work. And then also some types of geography and climate means that some things are better to grow in certain areas. So we can only change our environments due to needs so much, and capital includes machines. So we may need to get new machines to make certain products. So like computers will require different machines than basketballs, right? So we'd have to buy new machines to make computers compared to basketballs. So in this case, points on the curve we can do because we have enough resources for that and they're efficient. But anything inside the curve, like F here, it's inefficient because we're not using all our resources to the maximum capacity. But if it's here, like at G, we don't have enough. We can't pay for that. We don't have enough money yet. We don't have enough resources to get there. And then here, the curves shift because like it shifts right because we have more economic growth. So we can afford more. We can afford more this way. If the graph shifts to the right like this, we can afford more. And then here, if the graph shifts like this, there's more efficiency. So that's what happens if there's more efficiency in producing a product. Let's go to the opportunity cost and production possibilities worksheet here. So that's, look on this. So the production possibility curve depicts the different combinations of production that can be achieved when all resources are being used. When the opportunity cost of shifting production from one good to another is the same, e.g. the opportunity cost of producing the 5th, 10th, or 15th ton of a good, the opportunity cost is said to be, so what would it be? So does Hamza want to try?
I'm reading it through, Professor.
Sure, take your time.
I'll need your assistance, Professor. I'm a bit
Sure, that's
lost over
okay.
here.
So it would be constant because the opportunity cost is the same.
Mhm.
So remain constant. And the production possibility curve, what would it look like? If it's constant, what would it look like? Yeah, good job, Perna. Great job, Nathan.
Remain linear.
Linear, yeah.
Yeah.
Great job, all of you. And in many cases, shifting production from one good, such as automobiles to houses, it's not constant because automobiles and houses have different ways to make them. So, yeah, so it's less efficient over time. So what's the opportunity cost of producing the first 100 houses in this case here?
900 automobiles. 100 automobiles. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, 100 automobiles. Good job, Hamza. 100 automobiles, yeah. Good job, Hamza. And then does Joanne want to try the next one? What's the opportunity cost of the second 100 houses?
$700 automobiles, sir.
So it would be in this case, we'd have to just take the difference between these sections here. Yeah, so Tatiana got it 200.
Apologize, 200.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, you're almost there. Good job, good job, Joanna. And then what about the third 100 houses? What would be the opportunity cost of the third 100 houses? Does yeah, 300, yeah. So we take the difference between these. Third automobiles. And what about the fourth 100 houses? Yeah, 400. So we take the difference between these. So you can graph it now with this information. So you could graph number of automobiles on the y-axis and the number of houses on the x-axis. Somebody wants to try to graph that. Let me know, like you can send me an image of that. So opportunity cost and economic growth. On the following graph, what do the following points indicate? Like how much of each clothing and food would you get? And estimate it if it's not, if it's not, because there's not numbers in a lot of those locations, so just estimate how much it would be based on your best judgment.
100 clothes could make zero food, maybe.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. That's great. Thank you for that. And then what about B? Does what would B have?
I think it's about 100 clothes and about 50 food.
Close. I'd say about like 90
90.
clothes and 50 food. Because we'll have to sacrifice some clothes for some food. But yeah, good, that was close. 50 food seems pretty close. And then what
Oh,
about
no, I was
C?
taking the number A is over 100. So I was, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Oh.
Thanks for that. And then D, what about D? What would be the
D,
closing food for D?
D would be around 60s and 80 food. 60 clothes and 80 food. Yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good estimate. Thank you for that. And then what about G? What do you think the estimate would be for G?
That's a proper 50 and 75 assumption. 50 clothing and 75 food.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And this would be inefficient. So like we are using our resources full capacity. But these other ones would be efficient because we are on the line. On the line and using all resources to their full capacity. Then what about point M? What would be what's produced for point M?
Maybe like is 70 clothes and 150 food.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. That's great. Great job. Then what would be required to achieve the production possibility indicated by point M on the graph? Yeah, so increased resources and income. That's great. Then the law of increasing relative costs. What's the law of increasing relative costs? Yes, good job, Hamza. That was great.